A wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
Thanks to all our active patrons who have contributed a lifetime of $100 or more to reach Garuk Dong level status.
Here is the list of those special patrons in order of contributions.
If you would like to support our show, check out the Commander Smiths at patreon.com. Ooh, welcome to the Commander Smiths.
We are the Commander Smiths.
I'm Adam Smith.
And I'm Lowry Smith.
Don't worry.
We're cousins.
We're getting that intro down. This is
you just hold that.
Just hold it. Ooh.
Welcome. Yeah, no, I definitely think we do that. Just hold it.
It'd be funny if it just pauses there. This is episode number
System shut down again.
Yeah, right.
Oh, what episode is this?
317. 317.
I'm gonna need to write that down.
Yeah, because you keep putting it in the drive when you send the audio over for 200, and it's like, Lowry, you're cutting 100 episodes off of us. What the hell is going on? Yeah. So this is episode 317. Hopefully we don't have any big errors like we did last week with all the new stuff we have going on. But I think this is gonna be a shorter episode, right? This is gonna be a shorter one. I think I'm
it might actually be.
I know.
Not just one of these fake ones that Adam wants to wish that it'll be. All right, 317?
Yeah, 317. There you go.
All right.
What do we have going on for the episode today? We do have a Stump the Smith Savant, which, by the way, we do have a little thing we should show off here from Mr. Hatchman Do. Oh, no, we can do it. We can do it when it pops up. Let's do that. That's a good point. So we got Stump the Smith Savant, but what is the main topic we have going on today?
Main topic is going to be what is the best fetchable land, and I know everybody's thinking, okay, all right, basic island, but what else?
Come on.
And so
when did number 2 get here?
We had what?
When did number 2 get here?
Right. Just kidding. It's basic forest for that giant grove. And
well, I thought you would do it on hashtag Team Forest Walk.
No, then. Yavimaya Cradle Growth. I didn't say it. You did. So use
I just
mine.
did it to mine. Okay, sorry.
Get the fuck out. Yeah, so but best fetchable lands, which kind of takes Yavimaya Cradle Growth out of it. Hashtag Team Forest Walk.
Get the fuck out.
Gotta sneak it in there, don't you? I think that gets said somewhere on the Discord or somewhere at least 3 times a day. Like somebody at least somewhere does it. And one of them or 3 of them is you. So anyways, okay. So yeah, best fetchable lands. So,
I'm either in response to or the full, but we are also talking about like a kind of dual land mana fixing along with being fetchable. And that's kind of the gear. And so we have 4. Adam posted a poll on YouTube, and there was a lot of people that rode that poll. How many people actually voted?
Close to 300 rode that poll. I got what you're doing. There. Close to 300 people voted. So I think this is our most voted on poll. So yeah, that was
right. That's get it. Most road poll.
Yeah, it looked like you were about to do a little giddy up there. That was nice. So you're moving to your chair. Save a horse, ride a cowboy. 2009 called and they want I don't know if that's when that came out, but it was like it did. Yeah, so we're gonna discuss that. It's gonna be a nice.
See how long
this was a nice episode to not prep for. Well, because it's gonna be more of a discussion.
We thought it was gonna be secret layer that we didn't have to. Well, I didn't have to prep for. I wasn't prepping either way.
2 weeks in a row we haven't had. We keep thinking that's gonna pop up and then it doesn't.
Yeah. Hey, so. You were saying that it was really slippery up by you, but it's not icy or snowy or anything, is it?
Oh, look at that! Look at that transition. You're a professional. No, it's puke slippery up here.
What is that, a weather condition or what was it again?
Oh, this is bad. This is pretty funny though.
Is it like?
This-
Is it a spaghetti vortex? Is that what we got?
So you know the gist of it. Okay, so I got to tell the people that don't know this that weren't on the Discord.
Spoiler. I'm sitting back now.
Yeah. Okay, well I got to hear your oohs and ahs or gross and all that stuff. But okay, so
All right.
on Saturday night, Zeke goes to bed and he's like, my stomach hurts. His stomach hurts a lot. Like his stomach, he is such a picky eater that
Mm-hmm.
it's like he doesn't eat as much or he keeps eating the same food. So we're like, you got to stop eating these, whatever. So we didn't think anything of it. He goes to bed. He comes back up one time right after we put him in bed and whatever. His stomach hurts, get some crackers, whatever. Goes to bed, comes up at 6:30 in the morning, and he's like, my stomach still hurts, and he's like kind of writhing in pain a little bit. So Cindy's like, all right, just sleep between us. And he's laying there, she's tickling his back or whatever, and he has a bunch of blankets on him, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he tries to get out of bed and just does the like you hear it, and he's holding it with his hand, and it's squirting. It's squirting from his hand. He gets stuck on the covers trying to get out of bed, and he's holding his hand there, squirting going out every way. He jumps down. Luckily, Nugget, our dog, well, the little one, the new dog, is in the kennel still, but Nugget, her bed's right there. Her bed got sprayed completely. Like it was covered in puke. But she wasn't laying there. She was laying over by, we take our comforter blanket and put it by the window. She sometimes goes and lays on that. For some reason, she likes to lay on that more than her bed.
It smells.
Lucky for her, she didn't get sprayed there.
Oh.
But so Zeke's still spraying and running to the bathroom. He gets to the bathroom, and I feel like because he got to the tile, he kind of let it go. So then it just is, it's hitting both of our vanities and the floor, and he let so much go that he's stepping in it and he slips and slides. And let me remind you, we had spaghetti that night, spaghetti and kielbasa. So it's just noodles, red everywhere. He wipes out and is just still vomiting, walks himself to the toilet, but still
while he's like slid and he's
just everywhere. Cindy,
oh my God.
I jumped out of bed and I'm like, oh fuck. And I could see this all happening, but it's dark enough that I could see the silhouette. So I saw him fall. And so I'm going for the light switch to like turn everything on to see where I'm walking. I didn't want to walk and puke. Cindy thought he fell and like hit his head or something, like hit the vanity or something like that. She didn't realize that he fell in his own puke. So she bolts to the bathroom. She's coming at an angle, takes one step on the tile and boom, and she goes down like everything, like slides. It's all on her side, all on her face, her arms, and everything. And I'm like, oh my God. So then she gets up and she's covered in puke and goes over to the bathroom to help Zeke and, hits the light switch on. This comes in a little bit later. So, these puking. Oh. She cleans up everything. She's like, well, I'm already in it, so I'll get the main stuff, cleaning it all up and all that stuff.
That's kind of her. Yeah.
The part she didn't like was later. I'm like, not doing douchey. I wasn't like, you missed a spot. But I was like, the whole vanities have spray of puke still on them. And then I like walk to go to the bathroom, like, there's a handprint of puke on the light switches because that was her trying to turn it on. I was like, you missed some spots. She's like, I'm sorry, it was everywhere. So that's the first time we've ever dealt with like exploding vomit.
No.
And the spaghetti noodles were everywhere. Like she's having to grab each little noodle up because then I had to go get the steam vac. Luckily, we have that from the rental stuff. And steam vac that. This is all at 6:30 in the morning. By about 8 o'clock, we got everything pretty much spotless. We ended up steam vac in the whole room, and yeah, she did it. If you've seen Pitch Perfect, have you seen Pitch Perfect?
I haven't.
Oh, well, there's a part where there's a girl that vomits. She can make herself vomit, whatever, and they start fighting.
Terrible superpower.
And she makes herself vomit, like projectile, and then one of the girls slips and falls in it, and then starts making puke angels. That's pretty much what Cindy did, but not doing the angel.
Felt like. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was really gross.
Just
Like
I can't imagine like you hear basically when somebody pukes and if they don't hit the toilet, you can hear that like that splash.
yeah. Like
Or like if somebody pukes in the sink, you're like motherfuckers, like but like it splashes and then you hear your son
well, that's
like
like
just
just
like playing in the rain puddles out and
Right.
splash.
Just think of
And
that.
then your
He
wife comes
wiped
along and just
right
like,
behind him.
Right.
It wasn't even
right.
enough. Like it was so quick, I couldn't even warn her. I didn't know that she was even coming. Like it was within a second of him wiping out, and he's crawling to the just like that. He wipes out, still
Yeah.
crawling, making a path to the toilet. And I'm sure he got some in there, but yeah, 90% of it was everywhere else. And Cindy rolled in it. So the first thing they did after she cleaned, it was after she cleaned. I was like, did she stay with the puke stuff and get in the shower? She got in the shower after she picked up all the noodles off the floor. And then I did the rest of it. So yeah, it was. And me and puking, that's my paranoia.
No,
so that was my nightmare. I was like, this is my hell right here.
That is not an enjoyable situation for anybody, clearly. But I mean, did she get sick? Did anybody else get sick?
Knocking on wood. That's the thing I'm worried about now. Like, he's good. He stayed home with me today. And like I said, he did the drawing and all that stuff. But, I guess
I would assume that you can't get food poisoning from noodles. So
yeah. And the thing is like, I think, I don't want to say this because then it's going to happen, but kids tend to get the flu bug and it gets them. And I remember that as a kid, that was one of the things I hated the most. As an adult, like I've had the flu bug probably once in since we've been married, since Cindy and I have been married, I think I've gotten the flu bug once, the stomach bug. I've had it more than once, but I don't allow myself to puke. I've only puked one time. I think kids just, let it go, more. And because remember, like as kids, we got sick a lot more. Don't you think? I mean, I remember it felt like it was like,
yeah, maybe. Lot. I mean, like my son's getting much more sick than I do currently. Like,
so when your kids,
I would say, but kids are gross,
right?
Like they're gross.
Right. Well, that's the thing is, when your kids have gotten sick, have you guys gotten sick afterwards? And like, we haven't had that happen. We've gotten sick, but not pukey, but we've gotten sick where it's like diarrhea, all that stuff, all that fun.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. So I think
I do got a question, and this is not a conversation that I've really ever had, but do you know when you're going to puke, like with your, like the saliva for me changes taste? Do you get that? Or is that a thing that people get? I don't know.
It is. And the thing is I fight it. And so I fight it and I fight it and fight it until
that's just the key that if I don't have that coming, that's when I fight it. But when that change happens, I go, oh, it's over. Like, and I go.
Yeah.
Like and I don't even, because normally that's when it's like,
there's no turning back.
I'm just barely making it to the toilet if I taste that difference in the saliva. And so
this is your puke talking podcast.
Right. That's fine.
Oh man, it's
not poop this time.
Oh, kids,
Tutti
it's so much fun. Kids with the puking and the pooping and the hopping and the hooping. Yeah.
Kids are fun.
Yeah.
They're gross.
If you don't have kids, have them. It's good. You're going to get you're going to be sick constantly, but hey, it's good times.
Welcome to hell.
That is the best Andy Sandberg interview you've seen. Yeah, that was. Did I post that when Jacuzzi said he was they were pregnant?
I think so. Yeah, like where he's telling a story of where you like basically you're like, oh, you have kids? Wonderful. That's so awesome.
Or you're about to have a kid? Yeah. And then when they have the
great.
kid,
And then they have it and you're like, welcome to hell. Like join me. It's life-changing in whatever way it can be.
Your kids that's a good way to put it, actually. I was gonna say your kids aren't watching. Don't worry about it. You could say it's
whatever.
Sucks.
Like we have Lowry in karate, and he was supposed to go today, and he's been just a kind of like a meltdown, he's too tired type thing for like ever since we've been back from Arizona. Like they have not recovered from the time change whatsoever.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. And we kind of had a busy weekend. Like we went swimming and like there was like a St. Patty's Day swimming thing. And, you know, when you have an older kid, you don't want him to nap too long. And so you're kind of like hour. And normally if he's napping, it's an hour. I let him go for an hour and a half and I should have let him sleep forever. Like it would have been great if I just let him sleep because
take that permanent dirt nap.
But and so like he gets home and I'm like, we got an hour to have a snack and get ready for karate. And he's like, I don't want to go. I'm like, I'm not fucking fighting you. All right, we're not doing this.
Yeah,
because I know what yesterday was and the day before. Like so.
Plus, he's doing karate. You really don't want to fight him then.
Well, no, he's not. His punches and kicks have started hurting, and so that is a downfall in that. It was a lot better when he didn't know what he was doing. So
karate was a mistake.
No, he knows not. Like we always have a rule. Basically, if somebody gets hurt, we're done doing whatever we were doing. And that, you know, it's a loose rule, but like if Elise gets hurt, it's basically done. It's teaching him to like know when to stop.
Yeah,
because he's just so much bigger than
everyone
kids his age.
He's bigger than my kids. And
right. Well, I don't know if he's bigger than your kids, but like I think he might be.
Well, he's taller than Zeke for sure, but he might be as tall as Drake. He's
a little shorter than Drake, but I think he weighs as much, if not more.
Probably,
like,
yeah.
He's 85 pounds at 6 years old.
Drake's not. I think he's 70 something, maybe. Yeah.
So he's a huge kid, and you got to teach him like, hey, you're gonna hurt. You know, he's bigger than first graders, like just taller, stronger. He's a big kid, and so you got to teach him some type of awareness, which is a lot tougher than I ever anticipated as well. Like.
Yeah, when they're young,
dense as a rock.
When they're young like that, it's hard for them to understand that, you know, like it's a different thing. Like that's the good thing is right now, like with Drake, we're finally getting to the point where I can ask. Like the thing is, with younger kids, you can't really ask them what they're feeling. Like they can't explain stuff, and now Drake's able to explain. Like we can actually go through like the ADHD stuff. Is like, how is that? What is that making you? What are you feeling at school? What is whatever? He's like, well, I can't focus. My brain's doing this. Kids are doing this. Whereas if we ask the same thing to Zeke doesn't have ADHD, but similar situation. If we asked him similar things like that, he wouldn't know how to explain that, you know?
Okay.
When we ask him about his stomach hurting or if he's hungry or something, he can't explain what kind of hunger, like pain is it? Is it hungry? Is it I'm sick? Is it this? He doesn't know the difference between them yet. So yeah. Anyways, this is your parent and puking and whatever.
Right. Should we do tags?
Yeah, I guess so. Hey, we hit that 19-minute mark.
We did.
All right. So you can support the Commander Smiths in 4 different ways. The first way is to become a patron. $1 or more gets you into the Discord. $5 or more gets you proxies. Let's see. Do I have a proxy here sitting here? Hey, what's up there, Bill from Woodbury. Proxies, you can get proxies like this roaming throne right here. This is a foil one that is a higher tier. So the higher you move on the tiers.
Did we ever figure out what we're giving away?
Oh, shit. I was supposed to. No. Shit. I forgot about that. It's.
Well, I'll just make sure I don't lose again this week.
We have a proxy to give away, but I don't remember what it is. It's a foil one of something. But anyways, the higher you move on those tiers, the foil ones you can get each month if you so choose. The other way you can support the Commander Smiths is to donate live on the show. Like right now, you see that Malorto meter. It is at $10. When we reach that $100, it only goes once each month. So we are open right now. So if it ever reaches it from now on, we are taking the drink? Oh, painkiller drink, which is that mix of pineapple juice. It's 3 different things: coconut something and
coconut
cream.
Well, you need the coconut cream. So I do plan on drinking on Friday, which we are going to be doing another cast because Adam's spring break is next week.
Yep.
And so we will be doing Friday. I will be drinking Friday. So it'd be nice if we got that Malorto meter up to the appropriate amount. And then we could do. If you
guys wanted to donate whenever. I mean, anytime we're live, the donation meter.
Specifically, this time.
Right. Well, here's the thing:
Wait,
is there's multiple opportunities, not only for the podcast right now. Both Lowry and I worked on the Mothman deck in 2 different ways because Lowry had an idea of doing the petitioner's deck, and instead you decided to go a different route. You're going with the Goyf. Are you going Goyf?
Well, so okay. Yes and no. It's the Goyf idea.
Okay.
And so, but like the ones that don't mill, like Tarmogoyf ended up getting cut. I'm kind of disappointed in that.
Oh man.
Right. But Lurgoyf and
it's funny because remember what I used to call that when I was a kid? And I still Lugifor is
Lugifor.
That's what I Lugifor. That's my reading right there.
So, but that's I still have those in there. I'm happy with them there. But like a 4/5 that, or a 5/6 that does nothing isn't really. And it's like there's mill and there's so many different themes in there that something that didn't do anything was tough to keep it.
Yeah.
So Tarmogoyf did get cup and stuff like that. So, but
that makes sense.
I put many in there as I could, and there's going to be a lot of creatures that are real big. And I'm excited for mine. And yours was?
Well, I took your idea because you wanted to go the Goyf route, and so you said a petitioner's deck. We were texting back and forth, and I was like, dude, I'll kill my mill deck finally. It started with the god. What's that god's name? I always forget its name.
Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix. And then that went into Bruvac, and then that went into Captain N. And now I have killed it for the Mothman. And I'm really liking it. So I'm going to be doing my deck tech, I think either tomorrow. So tomorrow will be live. So whenever.
So not building, just a deck tech. And are you going to play through it too?
Yeah, I'll do a little goldfish a couple times so you can kind of see Lugifor.
I can't. No, he didn't even. He can't even. Yeah, the Lugi Goyf.
There we go. Lugifor is what I called it. I don't know why, and I still see it, and I call it a Lugifor.
Yeah.
So I'll do the deck tech, and then at the end I'll do a couple goldfishing to kind of show how it runs. It's fun. I'm liking this way of mill because it's not gonna mill out somebody to kill them, but the milling is going to kill them because it's going to get my stuff big, get the petitioners big. I don't have like normally when you play those unlimited, whatever, you have 20 plus in a deck. This has 17. So it's not taking advantage of those are the main thing of it, but those are 2-drops. And so it's going to make it easy for those to get big and do stuff. So we'll have those 2. You're thinking this week too, potentially?
No, I'll probably go Monday just because they didn't have the secret layer or anything. Okay.
So if you donate now, if you donate when I'm live, whenever we're live, or when we're live again on Friday, if we hit that $100, we will take that drink. And if you remember the ranch, Malort, it was not good. So that is the other way you can donate or support the Commander Smiths.
Fucking worst.
Financially. The other way is just watching our stuff on YouTube. If you have a chance to watch the podcast, watch it on YouTube. Any of our content that's on there, that helps us out. And then the last way, I guess I got to show this. Let's jump on over to the Commander Smith store because we do have a little bit of an announcement here. You can check out the Commander.
Do I know about this?
Yeah, you do. Commandersmiths.com. We have all our stuff that's on here. We have the T-shirts we're both wearing. I have Urza's for Life on. Larry has hashtag Team Forest Walk. We have the metal tokens that are on there. There is get the fuck out
over here.
We have the Kill Him tokens. We have the Dragon, the Goblin, or the Fable, the Mirror Breaker, Treasure, and Zombie. But what we will be adding, and by the way, the mugs, those things are legit. I mean, these are Yeti mugs. We're both drinking out of them. These are huge. They fit a whole 16-ouncer. It's actually a 22-ouncer. So it fits a lot of beverage in there, and they're just legit right there. But we will be adding our play mats. So our play mats have been shipped, and they'll be on their way. So get ready for those to hit there. And again, we still have that. If you spend $100 or more, we are giving away the commander holders that we made. So these hold your commander right there, and they're metal as well. And that's that little Garuk metal there. And once these are gone, we're not giving them away. There isn't any more to give away. So we have $100 or more, you get those for free. So that is the 4 ways you can support the Commander Smiths. The other way you guys can follow us and stuff, hang on, I'm trying to get everything back here, is is you can check us out on Instagram, on X, I guess. We really don't post there anymore. We've really transitioned over to Instagram and really communicating on YouTube. YouTube has actually turned into a pretty good place of writing messages and everything. I mean, it has been always with videos and all that, but that's really where we do a lot of communication. Really, if you want to communicate with us, just pay $1 a month and jump on the Discord, because that's where we actually talk with
we're actually there.
Yeah, so those are the ways. And then you can also email us at commandersmiths@gmail.com. All right, let's get off of that and let's get over to the main topic. Do we want to start with the poll first, because it kind of shows? Okay, all right, let's jump over there. Oh, wrong one. That one. All right, you got that double whammy there. All right, so.
What? Oh, I thought it was gonna be porn.
No. So I did put up the what is the best fetchable land last week. We had 278 votes, as you can see right there. As you can see from this, we have the Surveil lands, the Triomes lands, the Shock lands, and the OG dual lands.
Wait, what is the question?
What is the best fetchable land?
Interesting. Okay.
The number one, it was 54% with the OG dual lands. There's not really a surprise there. Number two was Triomes at 26% of the votes, and then tied.
That's what I'm surprised about a little bit.
Well, you got to remember, you have a little bit of a bias of you don't like Triomes as much. So yeah, there's a lot of people that like those Triomes, but tied with Shock lands is Surveil lands at 10% of the vote. So they each got 10% of the votes. That just is going to start a discussion here. We got a lot of comments here. There was some people were saying, if I can pull up some of them. I don't need to pull up all of it, but some of it was, if you're in this scenario we're talking about, we're saying it's probably a 3-colored, 4 or 5-color deck. Obviously, if you're in a 2-color, you can't play the Triomes. But a lot of people are saying if you're playing 3 colors plus, Triomes are their favorite. OG dual lands are obviously the best ones. Shocks are the budget ones, and Surveil. No one really got on board with the Surveils in the comments. It was only the voting part. No one said anything about love the Surveil lands, which I found surprising, because I felt like I kept arguing for them. Like, I was just like,
okay,
I get what you're saying here, OG dual lands, blah, 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 blah. But here's why I like the Surveil land. So how do we want to work this? We want to go through each one of these kind of and say why they're good?
Yes. Let's start with OG duels. I think that's the easiest.
Yes. I mean,
right? I don't think anybody's going to argue with you that they aren't the best lands. But I think they can create, well, okay, what do? They're,
there's no
2
downside.
different land types. They come into play untapped, and they are correctly the best dual land that's fetchable. They are. They just are.
I should say the downside of those is the money wise.
Right. Reserve list.
Yep. Reserve list, and how expensive all of them are at this point, especially the one I have here with Underground Sea. The most expensive one, sometimes it pops over 1,000. I think now it's around 800 or 700 or something like that. That's their downfall. That's really what their downfall is.
Well, and the inability to have people be able to play with them is a legitimate, not the best.
Yeah.
Like, even if you want to, like in a vacuum, yes. But when you are hamstrung by the budget and whatever that is, like, dual lands are incredibly expensive, like you're saying. So, like, in that regard, esoteric approach, like, it's not the best because you can't play with them. You can't say something's the best in a game if you can't play with it.
That's a good point. Point. And that's I think, I don't know if this would have been higher if money wasn't a factor, if maybe I added that in there. Like, no, money is not a factor. What is the best dual land? With these have gone to a 99.9%. I don't know.
You left it open. I don't.
Yep. So okay. So dual lands, that's been the top dog. That's for the longest time. I mean, it is the top dog, right. But I think they keep making these newer lands that you can have a discussion about it. So let's move on to Triomes. So Triomes, we're not talking dual at this point. We have 3 different land types. I mean, that's kind of the biggest benefit with these is it is going to come into play tapped, so that is your downfall. And it has cycling, which is nice, but it's a higher cost for cycling. I think it's cycling 3. So it costs a little bit to cycle these out if you're in mid
3
to
to
late
cycle.
game.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this, Triome lands, when I first started using them, was in my mirror deck. And in those first couple turns where I know that I'm not going to be able to cast anything, or I can wait a turn or whatever, if I don't have my soul, I don't have a soul ring or don't have a arcane signet, the Triomes are the first things I go for. I don't go for the dual lands because I want to have the options of 3 colors instead of the 2 colors. And, you know, it's also planning your stuff out. When you're using your fetches, you got to plan it out. If you get your dual land this turn and you're not going to be able to cast anything anyways, well, then if you get another fetch later and you actually need that land to come into play untapped, well, you kind of screwed yourself, because what if all you have left is an only tapped fetchable dual land? Like, let's say you already got your shock land or something like that. Planning things out kind of matters. So a lot of times, if I don't have something to do in those first 2 turns, I'm going for a Triome, and I'm getting those bad boys out because it gives me more options. Have you played with many Triomes and decks? Like,
I mean, Triomes go into all of my 3 color decks.
I wasn't sure if you did or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. That's an absolute, like, the 3 different land types are fantastic. It opens up whatever fetch lands you're going to be using. Like, if you are also hamstrung by not having all of the fetches, if you concentrate on one like type. So generally I'll run off color fetches or whatever. It just depends on, you know, if it's a 2 color, I'll run it. If 3, it's generally correct. But if you don't have the right ones, with like a red, white, green one, you can run like a green, white, a red, white, and then just a white something fetch, and know that you want to be running, you know, that white fetch is going to get it.
Yeah.
Instead of having to worry about like, oh, I need to go and get these 2 colors. You could just be like, well, I can just go get a shot or a Triome.
Yep.
With this.
I don't think I've ever used the cycling part of a Triome to this day. So that being there is an added bonus.
Not in game.
Yeah. Normally I'm always going to get these pretty early. And I haven't gotten them late where I'm like, oh, I have 3 mana open, let's cycle this out. So yeah, it's an early turn play for me. And that's typically
if I have a way to bounce it back, it's something that I really do like in my gold fishing, to be able to cycle it. And so like, it's nice early game fixing it. I do really have a problem that it comes into play tap though. Like, that's why you have to time it out and plan it out.
Right.
And so like, when you're saying like, you really liked it in your mirror deck, in my mind, it's a turn 1 play and maybe a turn 3 play. Cause on turn 2, you're likely playing a mirror for like 2 mana.
Right.
In my head.
Well,
and so
remember, that's a mirror planeswalker deck. So
right.
It isn't necessarily the mirror.
And
but
so
yeah.
like,
I get what you're saying.
I don't, but at the same time, I know I remember you saying like, I want to try the Triomes here, and you liked them.
And then they went into
for
Tom
me,
Bombadil as well after that.
Yeah. And for me, generally, if I'm in 5 color, I almost only I like go duels, I go fetches, and I go shocks and basics. And because I don't have to worry about the fixing as much, because I'm more worried about like my tempo of like being able to play stuff on time and always being able to get what I need. And so I'm generally playing, I don't run like Fabled Passage or Prismatic Vista.
Right.
I make sure I'm running more of the real fetches.
Yeah. So when so I built Mirror. Mirror is a little more lax because you're using artifacts, so that it's a little different. But when when Tom Bombadil is very, you need the 5 colors. So I actually, in that deck, I don't have a single shock in there. It's all the duels and the Triomes. Those are my fetchable lands.
Okay.
But it's not all the Triomes. I think I have 8 of them because I was trying to use other land, like other stuff, like utility land stuff, and you got to have the basics. I want to make sure I have 2. I think I have 2 of every basic land in there just to make sure. I learned my lesson from you, Lowry, from wiping out my non-basics, and so I always make sure. Yes, it was bad. So in that deck particularly, I don't have any shocks. I think it's probably my only deck that doesn't have shocks, and I utilize the Triomes, and it works out really well because the thing is, I have all 10 duels, so if I need to get something untapped, there's 10 of them I'm fetching for, and I have 5 fetches in there, so it's not a problem. So I guess it depends. I have really enjoyed Triomes. I agree I don't like the coming into play tapped, but really it's that first few turns is when I get Triomes. After that, I don't go and fetch for those. Then it's straight up duels.
Right.
Okay, let's move into the next one. The I would say it's your replacement for duels. It's your OG duels is the Shocklands.
The budget duels.
Yeah. So Shocklands. I don't know. I guess this could have been left off the list, but I had it on the list because I wanted to see how people voted when compared to the Surveil lands, and I'm surprised that they tied each other
equal.
Yeah. Because Shocklands is the budget dual lands, and maybe that's part of the vote in there. Is people are like, hey, this is a budget. I would rather use this than the dual lands. Shocklands have just always been good. They're good. They're good cards. They're duals, and you just take 2 damage. I mean, there isn't much more you can say about that. But they go in pretty much.
Well, I mean, like
having
that ability to have it come into play untapped or tapped
is nice. The
is,
choice.
I think, huge, because that is still an early game play of having it come into play tapped and be solid fixing. But then later on, or if you need that color to be untapped, you can take that damage generally, you know, as long as it's not going to be a super brutal disadvantage or going to kill you or whatever.
Right.
And so that is the surprise number at 10% on this list for me. I think it is for you as well.
You thought it should have been above
I would have
Triomes?
swapped that with Triomes, yeah. I'd put Triomes roughly equal to Surveil. We're not doing that yet.
No.
So I am shocked at where the shocks are.
What? Listen, but I'm.
Yeah. Womp womp.
I know, and I give you that.
There we go. Yeah, I deserve that.
All right, let's move on to the Surveil lands, because there isn't much more to say with the shocks. I mean, it's pretty much they're budget duels, and so the two damage and commander is nothing. You know, it's minimal unless it's late stuff. Okay, so Surveil lands. I've been thinking it for a long time, and I've been in Discord's been talking about it, and other people have been talking about how good they are. They are good, and gold fishing. Playing when we played a couple weeks ago, I switched in all the Surveil lands into the new decks that I built. Gold fishing the decks, they're the card I go to get instead of Triomes, but most of the time I'm in 2-color decks. Triomes, obviously come into play there, but even in 3-color decks. So the new Mothman is a 3-color deck, and I have 1 Triome in there. If I'm a turn 1 and I don't have anything to play, I don't have a Soul Ring, it's 100 out of 100 times I'm getting the Surveil land. Because
absolutely.
And here's the thing is, if I have a Surveil land in my hand to start the game and I only have 2 lands, I'm more likely to take that hand, because the Surveil land will at least help me figure out, let me back this up. I'll take a 2 land hand if I have a Mono Rock maybe in there. I like to have 3 lands in my starting hand, but I will more likely take it if I have a Surveil land or a fetch land in my starting hand, because then I can go fetch, get that Surveil land, look at the top card. If it's not a land, boop, throw it into the graveyard, and it better, like it makes it so there's less chances of Mono Screw or Mono Flooding. I feel like the only time they're not good is the after turn 2, so like turn 3 and 4, maybe 3, 4, 5. But then again, then you pop back up to 6, 7, and all that. By that point, you're wanting to know what your top is. You're trying to set, things are moving. You're like, okay, right. I don't want to get more land, or I want to get this.
I don't need that ramp card. I don't need.
Right. So at that point, now it turned back into Surveil lands are the ones that I'd want to get in my hand, you know, because you have other cards you can cast. And so for me, and I'm a big OG duel, you know, I'm all about those. I like those. You know, we've had the argument of duels, OG duels against fetches, which ones are better. I would take the duel side, you take the fetches side. I'm now leaning more towards the fetches side because of the Surveil lands. Like, to me, the fetches became that much more important with the introduction, well, not only with Triomes, but with Surveil lands. Like, these are game changers. And it's just...
I agree.
Doing so much gold fishing, I'm realizing I'm using them way more than any of the other... Them and then the OG duels. But I try to get the Surveil lands. Have you been able to use the Surveil lands? Have you been able to put them in your decks? Have you goldfished with them? What are your thoughts with all of this?
I haven't been able to play with them a lot. I think I have like 4 or 5 of them.
Oh, good for you.
No. Like I tried to, you know, I saw them at good prices and they have gone up since. And so then I've stopped and I'm like, ugh.
Proxies are coming, baby. You'll have some more once we get the
proxies.
proxies.
I still
here.
need to get them before I can use them. But like I am somebody that likes playing from the graveyard quite a bit. And you know, when they just come out, we're both building Mothman and they're going to be fantastic in that deck. Anything that's playing around with graveyards and you know, I'm like, Anixia is gonna love it. Calamax likes playing from the graveyard a little bit. Like I'd say 50% of my decks love the Surveil lands.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're actively good for what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, fitting with the theme of it. But that's the thing is like, even if you're not in recursion of your graveyard, just being able to get something that you need to use is so good.
Right. And I think we are both proponents of temples.
Yes.
Like we really like these, and this straight up replaces them. Temples have been relegated to only like 2 color decks at this point.
They got taken
Surveil
out of
lands are
Mothman.
in.
I just took them all out.
Kind
and
of
put them
any
in Surveil. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they can go in any deck that basically can run them, especially if they're in, like if you're playing from the graveyard. But like you're saying, they are fantastic just being able to see. Now, when it comes to being able to manipulate the top between Surveil lands or Scry lands, do you care or do you like Surveil better? Or does it not matter unless you're playing from the graveyard?
I would prefer to put it back in my library, so I would like Scry if we had Fetchable. If we had a choice between Fetchable Scry and Fetchable Surveil, I would choose Scry because I don't play recursion as much as you do. Like that's just, I do try to have some bits in there, but I don't typically add that into decks. But it doesn't bother me to bin stuff into the graveyard. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it's
more for me being like, this is what I need, and what's my top look like? Oh, that is not what I need right now. I don't care if it goes to the bottom of my library. It's almost as much of a chance of me getting that card as it going into the graveyard, you know, for my deck. Like the way you get that back is shuffling and then happen to draw it again. Whereas the graveyard, I happen to have to draw one of the 2 recursion if I have those in the deck. So for me, it's the same thing. You know, like
gotcha.
They're pretty much 1A, 1B.
Going away from the hypothetical though, as well, I think so if you don't have OG duels and so you have more room to play with in your decks when it comes to mana base, like, and you're in 3 color, to me, my problem is like, I'll likely be running temples, surveils, triome, shocks, and fetches. That's what I would do. But I would highly bet that my tempo is going to be really slow because you're going from 4 ETB tapped lands to 7. Do you see what I'm there? And that's why I kind of like, I wince a little bit when you're like, I'm playing 8 triomes. I'm like, I can feel the difference in how a deck flows between the 4 when it comes to temples, triome, and like generally I'll play with like the shards or cons 3 color
You're
land
saying
that comes
because
into play
then
tap.
you're saying because of the drawing them
ETB
and playing
tapped.
them later, yeah, and then you're
Yeah,
having
and
to
so
play 'em-
like
yeah.
there's the good spot of playing them at the beginning, and then playing them at the end. Like I think you did a really good job of talking about the benefits of both spots. But when you have too many ETB tapped lands, it really funks up that middle part
It turns into a commander pre-con deck, is what you're saying? I'm just kidding.
a little bit. And so that is unfortunate if that's making sense. Like so seven might not, like it's probably tops of most of what I'd want to be doing, but in a 3-color deck, like I said, I'm probably running 5.
So 3
And
color, yeah. I mean, 3, you have the 1 Triome, and then the 3 Surveil lands, and then, yeah, I mean, then you're having 4. That's your 4 tapped ones.
Right, and I'll generally run like the the shards of Alara lands that come into play tap that give you 3 colors.
I don't play
So-
those ever.
Right, I
don't like
do.
those.
I do. It's just one of those, and again, not saying that people have to do any of this, but I do like playing tap lands. I just want them to be able to do something, and I don't want too many of them. I don't want too little of them, because if I have too little, I go too fast for like the tempo that I like to play, like where our group plays. And if I put too many in there, I'm not fast enough to not get, like, if I'm gonna get ganged up in that game and I have too many tap lands, I'm just gonna lose every time.
Yeah.
And so like there's a nice happy medium of roughly 4 to 5 tap lands that work for me. And it's I don't know what that says about me, but like that's about the sweet spot of where I like my decks to be running. And so it kind of stinks that I have a plethora of riches for a 3-color deck saying, I really like these lands. Well, I really like these lands, but I can't play them because it makes my deck feel bad. But I can swap them either way and be happy.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this. With you had temples in every single one of your decks, like 2, 3 color, 4 color decks, right?
Yep.
I think these just replace those, like completely. Like
Right.
you just,
But it's still like it's feeling bad. Like there are lands that I'd like in here, and I'm not playing them. That's nice. That means you have options, right? And I like having options. So it's not. I don't think it's a feel bad if you don't have fetches and you're going, oh, I want these surveil lands. It's like if you have temples, it's relatively the same if you're not playing in the graveyard.
right. Well, the big thing here too, I guess we have to mention this is, if you don't have fetches, then this is like, it doesn't matter with these. You know, this is more so on the, I mean, they're still good. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But then if you aren't playing with fetches, you have a lot more options of other lands you can be using. The battle bond
Right.
lands, like we haven't even mentioned that. Like the battle bond lands,
The filter lands. Yeah.
like those would fit in this, but I don't
Pain
play
lands.
the battle bond lands as much anymore. I
They
guess-
they go in 2-color decks for me.
I guess what happens with me, especially building this Mothman, is because of all the options now, I have less options for the utility lands. Like get into 3, 4 color, and 5 color. It's all about making sure you have the proper mana so you can cast your spells and not be stuck with things in your hand that you can't cast.
Right.
And so it only leaves room for, I don't know, 5 to 7 utility lands now that we have these introduced. And, you know, it completely has wiped out Scry lands for me. It might pop into 2-color decks, but right now with the 3-color deck, they were gone, you know, and I was having trouble fitting lands that I wanted to have in there that would work. There's lands that I think would work in that deck, but I wanted to make sure I had my mana base correct, you know, and that's my biggest thing with all this is being able to cast things and not be able to like, fuck, I don't have this color. I need another one of this. Really sucks. And so being able to build your deck properly with the land is almost the core part of building your deck. Not really. You need your deck to do what it does.
Oh, it is.
But to be able to
It
get
is.
your deck to do the thing that you want it to do, you need to make sure that land base is really good. So These have been an
So
awesome.
are you saying that you would vote for fetches being better than OG duels at this point?
I hinted at it. I said,
Yeah, I know you did, but that's why I want a solid answer. I don't need a hint. I want,
let me.
I don't want a hint of lime. I want you to stick the lime into my face. I guess that's weird. That sounds weird. I don't like that.
I think for me, the Surveil lands changed the game a bit. It made the dual lands less important for me. I have all the dual lands. Oh, good for you.
Oh, good for you.
And they're in every single one of the decks. But like I said, the Surveil lands, and I guess I'll need some more play with in person. We've only done in person once with the Surveil, like my decks having Surveil lands.
Yeah.
I need to get that, tested a little bit more. But for me, the Surveil lands have become the most important thing. And so it's either I want those in my hand or I want to fetch. I like the dual lands being there as the option of needing something, like if I had the Soul Ring in my hand, being able to play that turn 1 or whatever. But more often than not, I'm going for Surveil lands. I'm going for Surveil lands probably 80% of the time on that turn 1, because there's only a handful of things that are 1-drops that you really need out that turn 1. And so they've taken over for me. For me on this list. Okay, so I actually shouldn't say that. You do yours. If you were to order these from most important, and I didn't answer your fetch thing, but yes, I think fetches have moved up. They are probably more important than duels to me at this point. Okay, there, it's on record.
So we're doing just in order from this list right here.
Yes.
Okay, so fetch is number 1.
They're not on the list, buddy.
All right, well. They're there in spirit.
These are the fetchable lands.
Okay. I want to ask you a question after this, after you do yours and we discuss it. But okay, duels number 1, because I think what we're losing here a little bit is they are the best because they're the easiest. Right. They're good whenever, all the time. It doesn't matter. Like when you're saying you don't need it, it's still solid turn 1 play. And It's still a solid turn 9 draw if you want a land drop. You know what I mean? Like it's never not good.
But
other than if you're getting flooded.
It's like lands
boring
to do other things.
Right. It's boring.
Right.
But boring's good. If it's good. Boring's bad if it's bad, but it's boring, that's fine.
You're a wizard.
You're number
a word
2
wizard is what you are. It's boring. If it's boring, it's good. It's good. All right. What's number 2?
For me personally, I might go Surveillance.
Oh, wow. You're surprising me. I thought for sure you'd say Shocks.
Well, me too, up until like 10 seconds ago. So I might take this back tomorrow. But I because I do play in the graveyard a lot, I do get a lot of value out of that being fetchable and it's good everywhere.
Yeah.
The Surveil doesn't cost anything. It's a free thing. It's not going to get stuck in my hand because I want to draw, or it's not going to waste a spell. And so I'm going to go Surveils at 2, Triome at 3.
Oh, wow. You're surprising me, dude. What is happening?
Right. I don't know.
Who are you?
I don't like it. It's so weird. All right. Triomes.
Do you remember at the beginning of this conversation, you were like, Shock should be ahead of Triome?
I did. I like Triomes at the beginning because you get to, like, it comes into play tapped and it's fixing you really, really well. I do not like them mid-game and late game. Being able to cycle them away is really nice.
But that's
3 mana is a lot, though.
That's expensive for cycling, yeah.
Think of how many cards...
You're tapping 3 to draw, basically, is what
draw
it is.
1, discarding a card to draw a card. That's what you're doing, and there is no card out there that says that's a good price for that,
Yeah.
And so that is, but the fixing's super nice.
Yeah.
In a 3-color deck.
Yep.
And Shocks. Why am I demoting Shocks? And the reason being is what you were saying. I like my lands to do something. If you don't have fetches, Shocks are like a
You mean
bad
duels?
option.
Duels. Oh yeah. Fetches. Okay.
Shock. If you don't have fetches, shocks are literally a bad choice for your deck. Probably.
That is a good point. Yeah, because you can't
Like,
go get it. Yeah, and so
you
it's
can't
like
go
what?
if you can't go get it and fix yourself, and it's just more of like a ETB tapped, do nothing. You don't get to gain a life. You don't get the scry card. You don't get to surveil. You don't get the chance to cycle. You don't have any. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you could be doing with that. And if you can't go and fetch it,
I will bring this into this really quick though. This scenario is fetchable lands.
You're right.
I agree with what you're saying 100%. But what we're talking about here is fetchable lands. So we are assuming that somebody has fetches, right?
All right, shocks are at 2 then.
Oh, you bump it up to 2 then?
Right. When you started this, I wrote down the question of shocks. Are they bad? And it started dropping in my mind because I was thinking of that. Shocks, again, they're boring, but they're reliable, and you'll get what you want out of it. And that's I think one thing is right now that they're getting super reprinted and people might be getting sick of them a little bit. They're not new and shiny like Surveil, even though new is not getting people excited either. But
your order is Dual Shock, Surveil, Triome?
Dual Shock, Surveil, Triome.
Okay.
And I think if you put them up against each other like one by one, you're going, would you rather put a Shock or a Triome in your deck? If it's only one, then I'd probably go Triome. But having 3 Shocks kind of to one land, I don't know if that's making any sense there. But being able to get the options, I'd much rather have 3 options that come into play untapped versus one that has to come into play on like tapped. If that's even though that you're talking 3 slots to 1.
Yeah, you can fit other things in those slots. Triumph saved you. I'm just kidding.
No, I don't think that's how that works.
You can even fit Surveil lands in there. I'm just kidding. Or more shocks.
And so where are you at?
I have to say the dual lands are the best. They go in every single deck.
If you got them.
What?
If you got them.
If you got I couldn't. It was like, if you got hum, I was like, I don't get it. Like, what?
You got a Hummer.
That's what I was like, what? So they go in every single deck, yes, if you own them, and then proxy them or whatever. But I'm not joking here when I say this, but for me, Surveil lands are really, really close. Like, there's so many positives for me with Surveil lands. And again, I only have the one time playing in person with for 12 hours of us playing games. And then gold fishing like crazy. That's what we do when we're testing decks out. I've probably played with Surveil lands in 50 games because of gold fishing. But the Surveil lands, I go and get more than I go get the duels. The only time I get the duels, the OG duels, is if I have that turn 1 drop. If I have something else, a Soul Ring or a Sensei's Top, or something I need to get out that turn, or a turn 2. But more, I'm getting Surveil lands. Like, that's the thing, is like, I'm like, this helps. And it's making me change my mind about how many lands I have in my hand. If I have a fetch or that, like I mentioned earlier, a fetch or a Surveil land in my hand, I might be more in tune to take a 2-land hand, because it might help. And this is actually one thing I wanted to point out, is if we got scry lands built into this, or if we had fetchable scry lands, this is only helping Magic players. Mana Screw and Mana Flooding is the worst in Magic. Like, Mana Screw is probably the worst, and then Mana Flooding is like, that's not bad, but it sucks. This helps with that. And the more that we get of cards like these, the better it helps us. That when when they had the dual face cards, DFCs, that was another thing. Remember, we talked about that for a discussion for a while there. Was that helps Magic too, where if you have a card that is something that that's usable, like maybe searching recursion from your graveyard, but you can use the flip side and put it into play tapped as a land if you're screwed for mana. The more we do that, the better it helps our mana bases out and helps it so mana.
And that's one thing that
sucks.
I have not got onto. They are very. I don't know if I've used the DFCs very much for land.
They just didn't make them used like there's certain ones that are good for some decks, but it isn't something that you're using in every single deck. You know, the spell isn't something.
Well,
that's
there's a lot of people that really cheat on their mana bases to allow for that. Like if I'm looking at deck lists, you can see that, oh, you're doing this. They're literally counting it as land.
Yeah.
Instead of the spell, and so that adds it in, and that's fine. But
if you had more spells like spot removal or counter spell type things, make it a little bit higher, 4 counter spell. I mean, they might even have one, but things that go in every deck. But then the flip side is it turns into a land. Even if it's a land that comes into play tapped and does 3 damage to you. You know, they do have those too. But make the negative really bad, but it's still a land. It's something that's helping you out if your mana's screwed. Whatever. So anyways, Surveil lands are really close second for me on OG dual lands. And I'm a big OG dual land fan. I still think I put Shocks third and Triomes fourth. I play Triomes. I do like the shock lands because of the option of them coming into play untapped or tapped. It just depends.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say the Surveil lands in some of those decks might take some shock land spots because of the having the dual lands there.
Okay.
So I think that's why I put it 2, but I put it a very close 2. So
I think a big detractor for Triomes from me is that cycling cost of 3.
If it was 2, I think it would be fantastic.
Well, here's a question: is if it was 2, but like 2 hybrid instead of 2 colorless, would that be something? Or is colorless at 3 better than like 2 hybrids of like the combinations of what it is?
Well, how would you do the hybrid then? You have 3 colors to deal with.
Well, I think you pick a central color for all 10 of them, and so each wedge is circled or centered around one of the colors, and so whatever one's in the middle.
What if they would have done 3 wedges instead of the 2? Did a brand new thing.
What that means
that it could be one of 3 that you could take to cast it. It's basically like colorless. Like instead of the like a blue and a red, it's a blue, red, or white. 3.
Oh, a 3?
Yeah. A try.
No.
Why not? What?
I think that'd be too good.
But I was just saying 2 colorless.
It'd be harder if you just chose. So if it's red, white, blue, and white's in the middle, it was a cycling white. That'd be hard. That'd be harder to do than 2 cycling or a 3 cycler like in one. So it'd be better if you just did 1 white. But 3, I mean, people like the Triomes, and 3 seems to be fine, right?
Yeah, I've never cycled.
So
one.
Right.
That kind of
it's I don't know. It's questionable.
Yeah. So all right, what was the other question you were going to ask though?
If we're not running fetches, do you even run shocks?
I always play fetches.
I know, me too. That's the hard part right here.
You don't.
I don't think you do.
You don't need. Then you just play untapped land. Battle bond lands are better than the shocks at that point.
Right.
Any of the ones where it's checking your lands, the check lands to see if you have forest or whatever, are better at that point.
Yeah.
There's just so many better options. So no, yeah. If you're not playing fetches, you play the OG dual lands. But if you're not playing fetch, if you have OG dual lands and you're not playing fetches, you spent your money in weird places.
That could be a way that we end it.
Yeah.
Go get your fetches.
Yeah.
Don't worry about everything else after that.
Yeah. Oh, Surveil lands got me turned, Lowry. They did it. They're doing it to me.
Yeah.
You get me fetchable scry lands, and I am
Right.
100% into fetches are the most important land in the game. Like that's.
I'm very happy that after we talked about Surveil lands fetchable, that they did it for us. I appreciate you, Wizards. Thank you for listening to the community.
Now you just got to figure out how they get me to turn to Team Forest Walk, right? Is that the next thing? Is that the next little bit?
I'm very curious if they have somebody that listens to us, because it does. There's been a couple of things that
things get banned.
Like we asked for it, and in 6 months it's happening, even though they plan this shit out like 3 years in advance. But we're on to you. Then that's what I mean.
It's good to dream. All right, let's get on to our. Oh, I got to get out of here so you can't see that. Good thing I didn't have it up there. Stump the Smith Savant. All right, get over to our button here. Oh, and if there was any other lands that you guys thought that we missed, although there really isn't. Those are the best ones, best fetchable ones. But you can leave them in the comments. Bill from Woodbury left some cool ones with Plains, Island, and Forest, some fetchable ones there. So those are some monocolor fetchable ones. I do like those as well. Mistvale Plains, Mystic Sanctuary, and Dryad Arbor. Great fetchable ones there. All right, time for this. It's time for everyone's favorite game show, Stump the Smith Savant. All right, if you don't know how this game works, I'm going to read the flavor text of a card, and Lowry is going to try to guess the card by asking yes or no questions. Every yes, he'll hear this.
Hello, boobies.
Every no, he'll hear this.
Wrong, 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 wrong.
He will get up to 5 wrong guesses before he is considered stumped. He gets up to 3 clues. If he can get everything about the card, but can't get what the name of the card is, he will get the initials. If he has a bonus clue left over, or a clue left over, he'll get a bonus clue. If Lowry does not get stumped, the stumper, can send in a card like Mr. Hatchman do here. He had Void Slime, and he sent us a custom art that he did there.
Yeah,
Mr.
that's so awesome.
Magic Mark Customs. So that was Void Slime. He did Lowry 1. Yeah, so you can send that in, and it will make the wall. Lowry ends up playing with a lot of them in his deck of proxies that or people that send cards in. You can sign those. So thank you very much for sending that in. Card has to be at least 10,000 EDH rec decks. Let me think. Is there anything else I need to say? Oh, we are currently... Lowry's record is 82-28. So it's what is that called? It's where the number forward and backward is the same. It's come on, help me with the word. I'm brain farting because I got, you know what I'm talking about? An anagram? Anagram?
No. I know what you're talking about, but now I don't know.
Come on, chat. Oh, Bill did the whole Team Forest Walk. Of course he did.
Hashtag Team Forest Walk. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Parallelogram, something.
No, that's a shape.
Conundrum.
Conundrum. Anyways,
palindrome? Is it a palindrome? There we go.
That might be it. Yeah.
That might just be for numbers. I don't. Oh, wait, this is numbers.
Yeah, it is numbers.
Yeah, I think it's a palindrome. There we go.
Good job. So this is round 28, week 3. Oh, I froze. Come on, get back in track. Anyways, I'll just keep talking. This is week 3. So if Lowry does not get stumped this week, we will add an act. Yep, it is palindrome, is what Bill just said there.
There we go.
So if Lowry does not get stumped, we will add another card to the ante. So we have the foil proxy of something. I don't remember what last month's proxy was, but it's something there. All right, and every 3 weeks we'll add a card to the ante. Okay, so this week's stumper is Beer Doctor, and I have eliminated chat, so chat can play along and see if they can guess it before Lowry. And here we go. All who set foot in Paliano, thank you, are pawns in someone's play for power. Marchesa, the Black Rose.
All right.
All who set foot in Paliano are pawns in someone's play for power. Marchesa, the Black Rose.
All right. So Paliano is a land card from Conspiracy. I believe the first one. Doesn't mean that it's not in the second Conspiracy either. But is this card from Conspiracy 1 or 2?
Hello, boobies.
Yay. I feel like it's a black card, and I want to say an enchantment off the bat, but I do not know 100% there. So, blind guess, is this a... No, hold on. Marchesa is red, white, black. So let's just guess that it's in those colors. Is it color identity red, white, and or black?
Hello, boobies.
All right, so we know we're in there. Pretty sure we're black. I do want to say like it's an enchantment, but that there's plenty of cards to choose from there. So let's go with the first clue, please.
The art features 3 skeletons surrounded in a green and purple haze, floating in the middle of what looks to be a palace. The art features 3 skeletons surrounded in a green and purple haze, floating in what looks to be the middle of a palace.
Okay, definitely glad I didn't try and guess at what I was thinking. That does not sound like an enchantment that I was thinking of. Three skeletons with what?
A green and purple haze. I think Bill from Woodbury already has it. Bill from Woodbury, if you give me the initials, that'll help me confirm that you have it. And the others can play along.
Green and purple haze surrounding what?
The art features 3 skeletons surrounded in a green and purple haze, floating in the middle of what looks to be a palace.
Oh, floating in the middle of what looks to be like a palace.
Like the inside of a palace, sorry.
Yeah. I'm just trying to, like...
Yep, Bill from Woodbury has it. Good job, Bill.
I do not know.
I'll give you this, Bill.
Hello, boobies.
Paliano. So I would assume that they are in Paliano or pawns in someone's play for power. Potentially somebody like reanimating. There's purple tends to be black. When it comes to like color schemes, skeletons are things that can be reanimated. They are pretty much pawns as well. I'm fairly certain that they're black. So are they? Well, what a reanimation spell. All who set foot in Paliano are pawns in someone's play for power. Marchesa, you have. Have I guessed? Did I guess?
Nope.
No, I got the other one first. Is this black color identity?
Hello, boobies.
All right. Second clue, please.
The text features an end of turn trigger that only happens with death.
That only happens with what?
The text features an end of turn trigger that only happens with death.
With death?
Death.
What? I want to say Monarch, but that doesn't trigger on death.
I'm going to crack my third beer. This one is the one I keep going for. Ibukaki recommended founders for dark beer stuff, and it's that breakfast stout. I love it.
It's very good. It's very good.
And it's cheap.
It's been a long time. Is it this isn't over 10,000 texts, huh?
Yep. You'll get that in the next clue.
Is it a...
Bill says he got it because he plays it. He had a deck that he just built with it.
Nice. That's so helpful when you're like,
not just
looked
built,
at
but
this
he
card.
has. Yeah.
Is this a permanent spell?
Hello, boobies.
You're getting your guesses right on target, buddy.
Thank God, because okay, so it's a permanent black spell. Let's try and it could be creature, enchantment, I don't recall many artifacts being colored there. Unlikely to be a planeswalker. So enchantment or creature. Likely one of those two. Is it a creature and or enchantment?
Hello, boobies.
You're just trying to eliminate artifact, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it didn't do much for me. I'll go with the third clue.
This card is in 34,000 EDH Rec decks.
Oh.
It was first printed in Conspiracy. And most seen it's in 65% of all Surveil Bane of Monster decks. Do you know that guy? Surveil? Surveil?
Yeah, green black. Death touch. Bounty counters.
It's in 34,000 EDH Rec decks, first printed in Conspiracy. And 65% of all Surveil Bane of Monsters decks, which is the highest percentage of decks that use this card, by the way. So when I say most seen in a certain amount of decks, it just means that deck has the most. Like, there's decks that have more in it
of it,
but not a higher percentage. So I'll always use one or the other.
I mean, shoot. Was there something there that had bounty counters? Because generally they attract each other. But
it's
I don't.
34,000 EDH Rec decks. I don't think a bounty counters is going to be. I'm not trying to eliminate that for you, but the bounty counters does not seem like a 34,000 EDH Rec deck.
You're
thing.
probably right. It's more like a 3,000 or 4,000 part. There's like 5 cards with bounty counters.
Yeah. I think it's more of what that deck does.
Oh. What's that?
I said I think it's more of what that deck does is why it's been used as much. Do you want that second clue again?
Can you, just read through the whole bit.
Okay. For those listening, all who set foot in Paliano are pawns in someone's play for power or chase of the Black Rose. The art features 3 skeletons surrounded in a green and purple haze floating in the middle of what seems to be a palace. The text features an end of turn trigger that only happens with death. And this card is in 34,000 EDH Rec decks, first printed in Conspiracy, and is seen in 65% of all Surveil Bane of Monster decks.
Got there. I don't know the name yet. It's an enchantment.
Hello, boobies.
CMC is 2 colorless, a green and a black.
Hello, boobies.
Has morbid at end of
Hello,
turn.
boobies.
At the end of every end step, you get to draw a card if a creature died.
Hello, boobies.
The initials are DR.
Shit.
DR.
I was really hoping that hit. Oh, DR?
Yeah.
Man, I don't recall skeletons in there at all.
I didn't realize, like, I said it to Cindy when I was writing the clues. I'm like, a lot of these arts, I don't realize what's in them until I have to write the clues and look at them in detail. And I'm like, I didn't realize there were 3 skeletons there.
I didn't either. Yeah.
They're like floating, going up to the ceiling.
BR?
Yeah, Bill's saying he thinks that the numbers are high for the EDH Rec decks because of they're in pre-cons.
I mean, it was played a lot for a while there, but there has just been,
I guess, Commander
better options.
2018 and then the new Capenna are the 2 Commander.
Yeah.
But yeah, 34,000. I mean, I've always considered this card in my decks that I'm dealing with, sacrificing my creatures and stuff.
Okay, so
I know what the name is, or I know what the card is. I just don't know the name.
yeah, man, it's been a while. because again, like you're saying, it's. I think I tried to put this in Zangief last year, so it's been over a year since I've really looked at it, and I think I took it out because it was like a little too slow. Morbid Opportunist is a really good one, and like you got Midnight Reaper, and you have ones that you can control a little bit, and then they kind of draw right when it happens instead of end of turn. And so I think, just trying to go through why it went away versus, and hopefully I get there. DR.
And Bill says no more hints. Bill, he already knows the card, he just doesn't know the name. So the hints of me saying that stuff, I'm not giving extra bonus stuff. It isn't helping him that way. But I get what you're saying. If you didn't know what the card was, like what it was, then those hints I wouldn't have said. But you just don't know the name. That is kind of crazy. He said original conspiracy was 10 years ago. It is complete. I remember when that came out, and it doesn't feel like 10 years ago at this point.
It doesn't. No. Let's.
You have 0 wrong, so you can kind of wing some stuff here.
That's a good point. It might not be the full word or whatever, but is the first word death?
Hello, boobies.
Might be like deaths or whatever. Second word, ritual?
Hello, boobies.
Did I get it? Are we saying death's ritual?
No, it's not death's ritual, but you have death and ritual in there.
All right. I guess I did just ask. So that's
Wrong,
you can give me a
wrong.
So it's not death's ritual.
I thought you were just confirming that you didn't get it right. Like, I was, yeah.
Yeah, no. That was kind of what I was going to go with.
Yeah, you gotcha.
All right, so it's death, something, ritual. Jeez. Death.
I'm impressed you got this far with that.
Deaths. No, when you started reading through it, and then finally that second clue kind of clicked. Because I was kind of stuck on Monarch as the end trigger, end turn trigger, and I was just like, it's not that clearly, but like, death cap, death mark, death cap, sound, death cap.
Are you asking?
No, are you flinching anyway?
Gonna drink my beer.
Oh, convenient. Let's go with. Is it death cap?
Death cap.
Ritual?
Wrong.
Is that too wrong? That's too wrong. Death mark ritual?
Is that a guess?
Yeah.
Wrong.
Shit. It changes once you get to 3 wrong.
You had
4
5
wrong, it gets real tense. Death. Okay, it's not death mark. It's not death cap. The death cap is generally like fungus or. Yeah, that was silly. It's not death's ritual. It's not death cap, and it's not death mark. It's death. What's some other words that go with like black or green? There's like ritual. What do you got stuff? So like black will have rituals. Okay, so rituals will have. That feels like a double thing. Like if it was death rite ritual. I don't know if that seems right. Or death skeletons, green and purple.
Oh, okay. I thought you were good. Death skeletons ritual.
I'm just trying to say words that like trigger something in my head. Like it's death.
I thought that's what you were guessing. I was like, that's not even
death
close.
drawing. There's just like enchantments. Like there's for some reason like clip right death right ritual.
Gotta drink my beer again.
All right. What else is there? So, I mean, you could sacrifice stuff. Is that like it's not death altar ritual? That doesn't sound right. Death. Okay, I'm saying this so much I'm gonna get the FBI following us. It's
I'm gonna go through the clues one more time for others
Yeah.
that are listening. So again, the flavor text is: all who set foot in Paliano are pawns in someone's play for power. Marchesa, the Black Rose. The art features 3 skeletons surrounded in green and purple haze, floating in the middle of a palace, what looks to be a palace. The text features an end of turn trigger that only happens with death, which you figured out, which was at the beginning of each end step. If a creature died this turn, you may draw a card. Morbid. This card is in 34,000 EDH rec decks, first printed in Conspiracy and most seen, well, it's seen in 65% of all Chevelle Bane of monster decks. You have figured out that it is an enchantment. It is 2 colorless and 1 black and 1 green. And that is all we know. And,
it's death.
oh, well, and you know DR. Yes.
Ritual.
Death ritual. Sorry.
death something ritual. It's not that long. It's not like something ridiculous. Like I know.
Oh, Bill's bonus clues are good, but too bad you don't have bonus clues.
I don't.
Those are really good, Bill.
Let's. I guess that one did come to my head. So like, is death right ritual?
Wrong.
One more.
Oh my goodness. What's time? Oh boy. All right.
Remember, this is gonna be a short podcast.
Yep. I'm gonna drag this out for another half hour. One. No. Okay. Death. Not mark. Not cap. Not right. Not deaths. Death's ritual. Just trying to think of death ritual.
That's not right.
That's not right. That's not right. Death. There's morbid. There, like, because there's wolves in this. There's one with wolves. I'm just trying to think of morbid cards.
I almost said Renshai's hint out loud, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I'm glad I didn't, because
Yeah. Death. Oh, I Death Blade, Death.
all right, the Diablo music has gone through 3 times now.
3 times? Jesus. Was one of those skeletons Jesus? Apparently he's gonna raise in a couple weeks here. That's Easter joke for anybody listening.
Wah wah wah.
Fucking hate
wah.
this game.
You almost moved on to the next ante.
No. We don't even know what foil proxy we're giving
I know.
away.
I'll have to. It's gonna be a surprise.
Great job.
It's gonna be a surprise for Beer Doctor.
You're gonna get
Surprise!
Do we even have it made? He can just say whatever proxy he wants in foil.
That's a good point.
How about
I might do that instead.
God darn it! God darn it! God darn it!
All right, let's get a guess. Get a guess. Death ritual. Death.
One more time. Go through everything one more time.
Even the okay. All who set foot
Everything.
in Poliano are pawns in someone's play for power. Are chased of the Black Rose. The art features 3 skeletons surrounded in a green and purple haze, floating in the middle of what looks to be a palace. The text features an end of turn trigger that only happens with death. And this card is in 34,000 EDH rec decks, first printed in Conspiracy, and most seen. Let me take that back. Seen in 65% of all Chevelle Bane of monster decks. We know it's an enchantment. We know it's 2 and a black and a green. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, you may draw a card. Initials are DR, and we know it's Death Ritual. So we know the R, we don't know the full D. That's what she said. I don't know if that
I mean,
makes
the D
sense.
is always longer than you expect. Right?
No, it's not.
So you're saying it's shorter? D?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Bill, I'm going to use yours and Renshai's clue to see if I can get him to guess it after that. If he doesn't get it here. The bonus clue.
Jeff? Dethers? No. Dithies? Oh. I hope everybody had a safe and happy St. Patrick's Day. Thanks for watching. Jesus.
We'll catch you next week.
Friday.
Oh yeah, sorry, Friday.
Friday. I'm not coming up with another word though.
Throw out something, death something.
Reap. Death reap ritual.
Are you fucking kidding me? Are you
Hello, booby.
fucking kidding me? That is ridiculous. I was just saying, throw out a word. How did you do it? Are you kidding? I was right. That's ridiculous. How did you do that?
I don't know.
I can't wait to look back at your facial expression when you got that. Because you're just like, reap! How in the fuck did you do that? I'm impressed.
It's called stalling. That's how I did it.
The last second we've ever had of you getting it before it was gonna be like I was about to call it. Like at that point, I'm like,
Right, I was too.
Yeah.
I almost said I give up, and then I was like, read it one more time. Oh my god.
yeah, but even that, you still had like a minute and a half before you got it. What clicked?
Right.
What
I don't
got
know.
the reap?
I have no idea. It
Did you get
popped in.
Did you get the text message of me sending you what the card was? No, I'm just kidding because my phone's right here.
I did not. Yeah, I'm not sure.
There's no way I can do that.
Wow.
Oh my god, I'm impressed. I mean,
Jeez.
it took a long time, but you got there, buddy. It's
I'm so sorry, everybody. What
all right. So, Beer Doctor, if you want, you can send a signed Death Reap ritual to us. 2 of those if you want. We'll make the wall, and we will promote those as well. You can sign a land just writing that name on it too, so you don't have to spend your 50 cents on those cards. Remember, if you guys have not submitted them, make sure you guys submit your entries to me either on the Discord or via email. I keep saying that reminds me. We're getting lower on the draws here. I mean, we have like 15 or 20 in here, but we normally have a lot more in here than that. So if you guys want to submit them, because guess what? We have a new card being entered into the ante next week, and it isn't just a proxy. It'll be an actual card, and typically we get over about 10, 15 bucks. So make sure you guys get your entries in. And next week's Stumper is... Whoa. Hey, he was on earlier. I don't know if he's still on, but it's Red Squirrel is going to be our Stumper for Friday. It's not going to be next week. It is going to be Friday. So make sure you guys Tune in for that. Again, if we get that Malorto meter all the way up on Friday, Lowry's drinking on Friday. You might see a repeat of New Year's. No, I'm just kidding. But,
no, but we'll actually like legit get drunk then if we have the Malort involved.
Exactly. Oh, not a good drunk. Not a
good drunk, just a Malort drunk.
Yeah. All right, guys. That should do it for this week. We will see you on Friday.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, that was like
watching, listening.
See ya.
Bye.
Sega.
I love boobs. I'm talking tatas.
Go. I'm very proud of myself.
I'm impressed, dude.
Boobs.
I'm not even mad. I'm impressed. Oh, wait.
Thank you, everybody, for watching and joining on the chat.
And outro coming. Hey, gang, the best way to support the Commander Smiths is make sure you slap that like button. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel. Also, check out our online store, commandersmiths.com, where we have metal tokens,